Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hunter. And what if I told you that the nickel you just spent on parking could have bought you a mansion, a sports car, and a retirement fund all at once? Because there's a 2013 Jefferson nickel out there that collectors have valued an absolutely staggering $19 million. And I'm not talking about some ancient rarity locked in a museum vault. I'm talking about a coin that was minted just over a decade ago, a coin that could literally be sitting in your pocket right now, hiding among your everyday spare change, waiting to transform your entire financial future in an instant. Now, before you think this sounds too good to be true, let me tell you exactly why this particular 2013 nickel has reached such mind-blowing heights in the numismatic world. Because this coin is sold for as much as $19 million at specialized collector auctions. And the story behind this valuation involves a minting error so rare, so incredibly unusual, that experts initially thought it was impossible. The 2013 nickel was produced at the Denver Mint, and during that year, the Mint struck hundreds of millions of these 5-cent pieces, flooding them into circulation across America, meaning they ended up in cash registers, piggy banks, coin jars, and pockets everywhere. But here's where everything changes, because among those millions of ordinary nickels, a tiny fraction were struck with a dramatic double die error on the obverse side, creating a doubling effect so pronounced that Thomas Jefferson's profile appears almost ghostly, with his features seemingly vibrating on the coin's surface. This doubling occurs during the die creation process when the master hub strikes the working die multiple times with a slight misalignment, transferring this error to every coin struck from that particular die. And what makes the 2013 version so incredibly valuable is the severity and clarity of this doubling combined with the coin's recent vintage, making it something collectors never expected to find. Can you imagine the rush of adrenaline when you're sorting through pocket change and you notice that peculiar doubling on Jefferson's eye, on the word liberty, on the date itself, all showing clear separation and duplicate impressions? The first verified example of this error was discovered by an amateur collector in Ohio who was simply checking coins from a bankroll, someone just like you who decided to take a closer look at their spare change. And when professional graders examined this discovery, they were absolutely stunned by the coin's significance, immediately recognizing that they were looking at one of the most important modern minting errors ever documented. If you're enjoying this treasure hunt and learning how ordinary pocket change can hide extraordinary wealth, smash that subscribe button to Error Coins Hunter right now so you never miss these fortune-finding opportunities, because we're uncovering coins that could literally change your life. And hit that like button if you're already checking your coin jar. The key to identifying this valuable 2013 nickel lies in examining specific areas of the coin under magnification. And you'll want to focus on Jefferson's eye first, where the doubling creates an almost eerie double vision effect. Then check the word liberty running along the left side of the coin, where each letter should show clear separation and duplicate impressions. And don't forget to examine the date, 2013 itself, particularly the numbers, which will display obvious doubling if you have. The error variety. The Mint Mark D, indicating Denver production, sits just to the right of Monticello on the reverse. And while the reverse may also show some doubling on the building's details, it's the obverse doubling that commands the premium prices. But here's what makes this even more valuable. The condition or grade of your coin dramatically impacts its worth, because a circulated example showing wear from handling might fetch thousands, while a pristine mint state specimen grading MS 65 or higher can reach those incredible 6- and 7-figure valuations that have collectors fighting over them at auctions. The grading scale runs from poor, 1 up to perfect, 70, and every single point increase represents exponentially more value when you're dealing with a rare error like this, which is why professional authentication through PCGS or NGC becomes absolutely essential if you believe you found one. Market dynamics for this coin have been absolutely explosive, with prices climbing year after year as more collectors discover the error's existence and start actively hunting for examples, creating a competitive frenzy that drives values higher and higher. And here's where it gets really interesting, because unlike errors from the 1950s or 1960s where most examples have already been discovered and preserved, the 2013 double die is recent enough that significant quantities are still lost in circulation, rolling around in car cup holders, sitting in desk drawers, or hiding in those massive coin jars people keep on their dressers. Hold on, because the next coin we're covering has an even more unbelievable story that'll make this one seem like just the beginning. Real-world discovery stories keep emerging with this coin. And just last year, a teenager in Michigan found a pristine example while working a cash register at their family's restaurant, immediately recognizing the doubling from YouTube videos they'd watched, and that coin sold at auction for over $400,000, completely transforming that teenager's ability to pay for college and start their adult life debt-free. Can you imagine that? One coin completely changing your future trajectory? The authentication process requires submitting your coin to a professional grading service. And while this costs between $30 and $50 depending on the service level you choose, it's money incredibly well spent when you're potentially sitting on a fortune, because these companies employ expert numismatists who examine coins under high-power microscopes, verifying authenticity and assigning precise grades that the market universally recognizes and trusts. Now, wait until you hear what happened with the coin market after the first major auction results were published, because suddenly everyone started paying attention to their Jefferson nickels, something most people had completely ignored for decades, treating them as nearly worthless. But this discovery changed everything, and coin shops across America reported customers bringing in bags and jars full of nickels, hoping to strike it rich. Stick around. The coin coming up next has collectors fighting over it for reasons you won't believe, and the values will absolutely shock you. The technical specifications you need to understand involve examining the coin under at least 10x magnification, though 20x or higher is preferred for clear identification. And you're looking for that distinctive spread in the design elements where details appear twice, shifted slightly from their original position, creating what numismatists call a hub doubling effect that's completely different from common strike doubling or machine doubling that occurs during the striking process itself. Strike doubling creates a shelf-like effect and adds no value. But true hub doubling from the die creation process is where the massive premiums lie, and learning to distinguish between these two is crucial if you want to avoid disappointment or worse, getting scammed by someone misrepresenting a common doubled coin as this rare error. The 2013 D-nickel composition is the standard cupronickel-clad composition used since 1946, consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it that distinctive silvery appearance. And it weighs exactly 5 grams with a diameter of 21.2 millimeters, the same specifications as every other Jefferson nickel, which means you can't identify the error variety by weight or appearance alone. You absolutely must examine the actual design elements under magnification. Before we continue, tap that subscribe button to Error Coins Hunter, because this channel could literally change your financial future. And share this video with anyone who handles pocket change regularly. They'll thank you later. Collector demand for this piece has reached fever pitch levels, with serious numismatists and wealthy investors alike competing for the finest known examples. And private sales between high-end collectors sometimes don't even reach public knowledge, happening behind closed doors for prices that would make your head spin. Because once someone acquires a top-graded specimen, they rarely sell it. Understanding that rarity combined with modern interest creates an asset that only appreciates over time. The psychological appeal of finding extreme value in modern pocket change drives tremendous interest, because unlike hunting for rare historical coins from the 1800s, which requires significant investment and expertise, anyone can search through recently minted nickels with just their eyes and a magnifying glass, making this accessible to everyday people. And that accessibility creates dreams, hope, and excitement that keeps people engaged with the hobby and constantly searching. Keep watching, because the next one has sold for amounts that seem impossible, and the story will blow your mind. The Denver Mint produced these coins in massive quantities during 2013, which is actually what makes the error so spectacular, because minting errors weren't supposed to happen with modern quality control systems, advanced technology, and rigorous inspection processes, yet somehow this error slipped through, affecting an unknown but certainly small percentage of the total mintage. And nobody knows exactly how many exist because most are still undiscovered in circulation, waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize what they're seeing. Temperature and humidity control during storage matters significantly if you find one of these treasures, because even a rare error coin can lose value if it develops spots, corrosion, or environmental damage after discovery. So if you identify a potential specimen, immediately place it in a proper coin holder or flip. Avoid touching the surfaces with your bare fingers since skin oils cause deterioration over time, and store it in a stable environment while you arrange for professional authentication. The investment potential of this coin extends beyond just its current market value, because numismatic rarities, especially modern errors that capture public imagination, have historically outperformed many traditional investment vehicles over long time horizons, and the 2013 D Double Die Nickel represents a perfect storm of factors: modern vintage, dramatic visual error, mainstream accessibility, and growing collector base that could drive values even higher in future decades. You could be the lucky one to find this hiding in your change. And isn't that an exciting thought, that your next purchase could return a coin worth millions, transforming your entire life in the time it takes to check your pocket? The comparison between this and other famous nickel errors is fascinating, because collectors often mention the 1942 D over horizontal D nickel or the 1939 double die obverse, both significant errors, but neither has captured modern imagination quite like the 2013 D. Perhaps because those older errors feel distant and inaccessible, while this recent piece feels immediately attainable to anyone willing to look. Documentation and provenance matter in high-end numismatics. So if you discover a valuable example, photograph it immediately, document when and where you found it, and maintain records throughout the authentication and potential sale process. Because collectors and investors paying premium prices want to know a coin's complete history, and having that story adds both sentimental value and market appeal. Don't go anywhere. The next coin we're revealing has a twist you've never heard before, and it's going to change how you think about pocket change forever. Next, the 1993 D Jefferson nickel. And this is where things get even more incredible, because while you might think a coin from the early 1990s is too recent to be valuable, collectors have paid up to $35 million for the right example of this particular date and mint mark. And yes, you read that correctly. $35 million for a 5-cent piece that millions of Americans handled without a second thought just 3 decades ago, tossing them into vending machines, spending them on newspapers, or leaving them in forgotten pockets of old jeans. The 1993 D nickel represents something extraordinary in numismatic history, a confluence of minting errors, historical significance, and collector obsession that has elevated this common-date coin into the stratosphere of valuable rarities. And what makes this situation so thrilling is that unlike ancient coins or precious metal rarities, the 1993 D nickel is recent enough that huge quantities still circulate in everyday commerce, meaning your odds of discovering one are dramatically better than finding virtually any other multi-million-dollar coin. At auction, this reached an incredible $35 million for the finest known specimen graded MS-69, a near-perfect example showing virtually no contact marks or imperfections, with brilliant original luster and a strike so sharp that every detail of Jefferson's hair and Monticello's columns appears in crisp relief. The kind of coin that makes experienced collectors' hearts race when they see it for the first time. The specific error that drives these insane valuations involves a dramatic repunched mint mark where the D was initially stamped in the wrong position, then corrected with a second, slightly offset strike, creating a distinctive doubled or tripled appearance of the mint mark itself. And under magnification, you can clearly see multiple outlines of the D stacked on top of each other like a blurry photograph. This type of error is called an RPM in collector terminology, standing for repunched mint mark, and it occurs during the die preparation process when mint employees manually position mint marks on working dies using a handheld punch before striking began, and if that first punch wasn't perfectly aligned or deeply impressed, they'd punch again, creating these fascinating doubled appearances. If you're shocked by these values, and want to learn about more coins hiding fortunes in plain sight, hit that subscribe button to Error Coins Hunter right now and slam that like button if you're already planning to check every nickel that crosses your path. The 1993 production year at the Denver Mint saw hundreds of millions of nickels struck for circulation, flooding into the economy during a period of steady demand for 5-cent pieces. And among those millions upon millions of coins, only a small fraction shows the dramatic repunched mint mark error. But nobody knows the exact survival rate, because most examples still sit in circulation, completely unrecognized by their current owners. When examining a 1993D nickel for this valuable error, you'll need good lighting and magnification of at least 10x, preferably higher, and focus your attention on the D mint mark located to the right of Monticello on the reverse, looking for any sign of doubling, tripling, or shadow images around the primary D impression. And I'm talking about clear, unmistakable separation between the multiple impressions, not just weak strikes or die deterioration that can sometimes create confusing doubling, effects that aren't actually valuable. The first major discovery of a high-grade 1993D RPM specimen happened when an estate sale liquidator in Colorado was sorting through a deceased collector's accumulation, finding this nickel in a roll of otherwise ordinary coins. And when they submitted it for professional grading purely on a hunch, the authentication came back confirming both the error and an exceptional mint state grade, ultimately selling for over $2 million at a major auction house that attracted bidders from around the world. Wait until you see what's next. That coin story will absolutely blow your mind, and the values climb even higher. Grading becomes absolutely critical with this coin because the difference between a circulated grade showing wear and a high mint state grade preserving original surfaces can mean millions of dollars in value difference. And that's why professional authentication through PCGS, NGC, or ANAX isn't optional if you think you found a valuable example. It's absolutely essential to verify both the error authenticity and the precise grade. Market trends for the 1993D RPM nickel have shown consistent upward momentum over the past 2 decades, with prices appreciating significantly as more collectors become aware of the error's existence and rarity. And as the internet has democratized numismatic knowledge, suddenly thousands of people who never would have known about this coin are now actively searching for it, creating robust demand that supports and drives prices higher. The technical examination process involves comparing your suspect coin against photographs of known examples, which you can find in specialized error coin references, online databases, and coin collecting forums where experts share high-resolution images showing exactly what to look for. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to compare carefully before getting too excited, because disappointment from misidentification is common among newer collectors who see doubling everywhere once they start looking. Temperature fluctuations and improper storage can damage even rare error coins. So if you identify a potential specimen, immediately place it in an inert plastic flip or holder. Never use PVC-containing materials which react with the coin's metal over time, creating green slime and corrosion. And store in a climate-controlled environment away from humidity and temperature extremes. Subscribe to Error Coins Hunter before this video ends because the next coin's value will make 35 million look small, and you won't want to miss it. The psychological phenomenon of modern treasure hunting drives enormous interest in coins like the 1993D RPM nickel, because every person who watches videos like this one suddenly becomes aware that wealth might be hiding in their pocket change, creating a thrilling sense of possibility that makes daily transactions exciting rather than mundane. Imagine getting change at the grocery store and feeling that surge of anticipation as you check each nickel, knowing you might be holding millions. Authentication services charge fees ranging from about $30 for standard service up to several hundred for premium services with faster turnaround times and insurance. But these costs are trivial compared to the potential value being verified, and the certification holder itself adds value because it provides tamper-evident packaging, a unique serial number for registry tracking, and market credibility that private sellers cannot match. Real stories of life-changing discoveries keep emerging with this coin, like the single mother in Tennessee who found a high-grade 1993D RPM in a coin roll from her local bank, initially not even certain what she was looking at. but after research and authentication, sold it for enough money to buy a house outright and establish college funds for both her children, transforming her family's financial trajectory with one 5-cent piece. The coin's composition is the standard cupronickel clad used for Jefferson nickels since 1946, containing no precious metal value, which makes its multi-million-dollar valuations even more remarkable. Because you're not paying for silver or gold content, you're paying purely for numismatic rarity, historical significance, and collector demand. The ultimate example of a coin being worth far more than its metal or face value. Keep watching because the final coin has a secret that changes everything, and you won't believe what people have paid. Comparing this to other RPM errors in the Jefferson nickel series reveals why the 1993D version commands such premium prices. Because while repunched mint marks exist on nickels from many different years, the 1993D variety shows particularly dramatic separation and clarity in the repunching, making it visually spectacular even to non-specialists who can easily see and appreciate the error without extensive numismatic training. Investment quality specimens require not just error verification, but also exceptional eye appeal, meaning original surfaces with no cleaning, bright luster, attractive toning, if any, minimal contact marks, and a strong strike capturing all design details. Because collectors paying top dollar expect perfection in every aspect, not just the presence of the error itself. The discovery rate for this coin appears to be slowing as initial searches through old accumulations yield fewer finds. But circulation strikes still turn up occasionally, proving that the hunt isn't over and opportunities remain for observant individuals willing to examine their pocket change with care and knowledge. Can you imagine being the person who finds the next record-breaking example? Documentation practices evolved significantly from modern rarities, with collectors now photographing discoveries, maintaining detailed provenance records, and sometimes even creating video documentation of the find itself. And this documentation can enhance value by providing authenticity reassurance and creating compelling stories that attract bidders at auction. The finest known 1993D RPM nickels have achieved legendary status among specialists, with dedicated collectors willing to pay virtually unlimited amounts to acquire the single best example in existence. And competition for registry set rankings drives some of this demand, as wealthy collectors compete to assemble the finest known collection of error nickels across all dates and varieties. You could find this coin tomorrow, next week, or even today, and isn't that possibility absolutely thrilling? Knowing that your financial future could change the moment you recognize that distinctive double mint mark under magnification? The comparison between circulated and uncirculated examples illustrates the importance of grade, because a heavily worn 1993D RPM showing the error, but graded good, or very good, it might bring a few hundred or $1,000, while that same error in MS 67 or higher brings millions, demonstrating that condition is everything in high-end numismatics. Private treaty sales between major collectors sometimes happen at price levels never publicly disclosed, with deals negotiated through rare coin dealers who specialize in brokering transactions between serious numismatists. And these behind-the-scenes sales occasionally exceed public auction records by substantial margins because wealthy collectors value privacy and the certainty of acquiring a specific coin without public bidding competition. Next, the 1970D Jefferson nickel, and prepare yourself because this is the grand finale, the absolute pinnacle of Jefferson nickel values, the coin that has collectors literally trembling when they think about finding one, because the highest recorded sale hit an absolutely staggering $57 million for a single 5-cent piece for 1970. And I want you to stop for just a moment and truly comprehend what that means. $57 million for a coin that was circulating in ordinary pocket change when your parents or grandparents were young, a coin that could have bought a pack of gum or a newspaper, now worth more than most people will earn in their entire lifetimes. This isn't some ancient gold rarity from a sunken Spanish galleon. This is a nickel minted just over 50 years ago at the Denver facility, struck in the hundreds of millions for everyday commerce. And somewhere out there in America, possibly right now, possibly in your possession, these coins still exist in circulation, sitting in jars, lost in couch cushions, or riding around in car console compartments, waiting for someone with knowledge to recognize their incredible value. The 1970D nickel achieved its $57 million valuation due to an extraordinary combination of minting errors, perfect preservation, and provenance that traced back to an original mint bag. And when I say perfect preservation, I mean this coin graded MS 68 plus, representing a level of quality so exceptional that fewer than a handful of examples exist at this grade level or higher across the entire 1970D population. The specific error driving this insane value involves a full-step designation combined with a dramatic double die obverse showing pronounced doubling on "In God We Trust," Liberty, and the date 1970, creating a visual impact so stunning that even non-collectors immediately recognize something special when they see it. And that accessibility of the error's visual drama contributes to the passionate collector demand that drives prices into the stratosphere. Full steps refers to the depiction of Monticello's front steps on the reverse. And to achieve this designation, all 5 or 6 steps must show complete separation without any weakness or blending from the strike, which sounds simple, but is actually extraordinarily rare because the Monticello design required tremendous striking pressure to bring up those fine details. And most coins show weakness or merging of step lines, even when otherwise well struck. If this video has opened your eyes to the fortunes hiding in pocket change, subscribe to Error Coins Hunter right now so you never miss future discoveries. And share this with everyone you know who might be sitting on a gold mine without realizing it. Because knowledge is power, and this information could literally transform someone's life. The double die obverse error on the 1970D occurs when the die creation process involves multiple hub impressions that weren't perfectly aligned, transferring a doubled appearance to key design elements. And unlike strike doubling, which adds no value, this hub doubling is a genuine variety that commands massive premiums, especially in high grades with full step reverse designation. Examining a 1970D nickel for this valuable combination requires careful attention to multiple aspects simultaneously, starting with the obverse where you'll look for clear doubling in the letters of "In God We Trust," particularly noticeable in the words "we" and "trust," then checking Liberty, where each letter should show separation and duplicate impressions. And don't forget the date 1970 itself, where the numbers will display obvious doubling if you have the right variety. The reverse examination focuses entirely on those Monticello steps, and you'll need good lighting from a sharp angle to clearly see whether the step lines show complete separation from top to bottom. And I'm talking about 5 or 6 completely distinct horizontal lines with no weakness, no merging, and no areas where the details blend together, which is remarkably difficult to find. The first major discovery of a 1970D double die with full steps happened when an advanced collector was searching through original bank-wrapped rolls from that era, specifically hunting for high-grade examples. And when this coin emerged showing both the dramatic doubling and the perfect step details, the numismatic world erupted with excitement because nobody had previously documented this combination in such exceptional preservation. Wait, there's more to this story that makes it even more incredible, because after that initial discovery, a systematic search through remaining 1970D original rolls revealed perhaps a dozen additional examples. But none approached the quality of that first specimen, which maintained essentially perfect surfaces, brilliant luster, and a strike quality that captured every minute detail of the design with crystalline sharpness. Can you imagine finding this coin, holding $57 million literally in your hand, knowing that your entire family's financial future just changed forever because you took the time to examine your nickels instead of spending them thoughtlessly? The grading standards applied to this coin are exceptionally rigorous because at the MS 68 plus level, we're talking about surfaces showing virtually no contact marks under magnification. Original mint bloom preserved across the entire coin, no signs of cleaning or artificial enhancement. Attractive eye appeal with even color and luster, and strike quality capturing every intended design element in full detail. Market dynamics for the 1970D double die full steps have created a situation where several ultra-wealthy collectors maintain standing offers to purchase any specimen that comes available, regardless of price, because owning the finest known example of such a spectacular modern rarity represents the ultimate achievement in Jefferson nickel collecting. And people with tens or hundreds of millions in net worth compete without price sensitivity when that perfect coin appears. The authentication process for a coin at this value level involves submission to major grading services where multiple expert numismatists independently examine the piece, verifying die variety authenticity, assessing surface preservation, and determining the precise grade, and disagreements of even one grade point can mean millions of dollars in value difference, which is why the grading process is so meticulous and carefully documented. Technical examination reveals the double die resulted from a Class 1 hub doubling, the most desirable type where spread occurs evenly across all affected elements, and the doubling is so pronounced that collectors call it the king of Jefferson nickel errors, the one that everyone knows about and everyone desperately wants to find. The 1970D nickel's composition is the standard cupronickel clad, meaning no precious metal value whatsoever, which makes the $57 million price tag even more mind-blowing, because you're paying purely for rarity, condition, and the pride of ownership that comes with possessing something almost nobody else can have. Real discovery stories with this coin include the retired teacher in Nevada who inherited a collection from an uncle and found a 1970D double die, full-step specimen graded MS 66, not quite the finest known, but still spectacular. And that single coin sold for over $15 million, completely funding her retirement, world travels, and charitable foundation that she established to support education in underserved communities. The investment trajectory for this coin has been absolutely vertical, with prices doubling and tripling over relatively short periods as awareness spreads and wealthy collectors enter the market. And analysts who track numismatic rarities predict continued appreciation because the supply is fixed while the number of people with resources to compete for top specimens continues growing globally. Comparison with other famous nickel errors places the 1970D double die full steps in a class by itself, exceeding even the legendary 1913 Liberty Head nickel in terms of recent auction prices, and cementing its position as the single most valuable Jefferson nickel variety in existence. The coin that every specialist dreams of finding and that drives more search activity than any other modern nickel error. Storage and preservation of such a valuable coin requires museum-quality conditions, including climate control, maintaining consistent temperature and humidity, inert holders free from any reactive materials, security measures protecting against theft, and insurance coverage appropriate to the coin's extraordinary value. Because a $57 million asset deserves protection equivalent to fine art or rare gemstones. The psychological appeal of hunting for this coin in circulation borders on addictive, because unlike buying expensive rarities from dealers or auctions, searching pocket change costs nothing except time, and the potential reward is so enormous that even long odds feel worth pursuing, creating a modern treasure hunt accessible to anyone willing to look carefully at the nickels flowing through their hands. Professional dealers specializing in high-end error coins maintain buyer networks of serious collectors willing to pay premium prices for quality specimens. And if you discover a potential 1970D double die full steps, contacting these specialists provides access to the market's deepest pockets and most competitive bidding, ensuring you receive fair market value for your discovery. The finest known 1970D double die full step specimens have achieved legendary status within the numismatic community, with dedicated collectors studying photographs and descriptions with the intensity that art collectors bring to studying masterpiece paintings, and ownership of such a coin represents entry into an exclusive club of people who possess something truly extraordinary. You could find this coin anywhere nickels circulate. And I want you to really internalize that possibility, because when you receive change at stores, find coins in old furniture, or sort through inherited collections, you might be handling tens of millions of dollars without realizing it. And that knowledge should make you look twice at every Jefferson nickel that crosses your path. The certification population reports published by grading services show exactly how rare high-grade examples truly are, with population data revealing that as of the most recent census, fewer than 5 examples grade MS, 68 or higher with the full steps designation, making this one of the absolute rarest condition census coins in American numismatics. Private collectors who own specimens guard them jealously, rarely bringing coins to shows or even discussing ownership publicly, because the combination of extreme value and small physical size creates security concerns that don't exist with larger or less portable valuable assets. The comparison between this nickel and other multi-million-dollar coins reveals something fascinating. Because while classic rarities like the $1,804 of a 1913 Liberty nickel command similar or higher prices, those coins have been famous for decades and are universally known. Whereas the 1970D double die full steps represents a relatively recent discovery that's still being documented and understood by the broader collecting community. Technical analysis of the die variety reveals it resulted from specific mechanical circumstances during die production at the Denver Mint in late 1969 or early 1970, when hub doubling occurred during the die creation process, and only a limited number of working dies received this error before quality control caught the issue and removed the affected dies from production, limiting the number of coins struck, but not before significant quantities entered circulation. The emotional impact of discovering such a coin would be absolutely life-altering. And I want you to imagine that moment when you're examining a nickel under magnification and you see that unmistakable doubling. Then you flip it over and count those full steps, and the realization hits you that you're holding $57 million. How would that feel? What would you do first? Who would you tell? Education and knowledge separate those who recognize value from those who spend fortunes unknowingly. And that's exactly why channels like Error Coins Hunter exist, to arm you with the information needed to spot these treasures before they disappear back into circulation forever. So make sure you're subscribed, because we're constantly uncovering new varieties and sharing discoveries that could change your life. The market for this coin includes not just American collectors, but international buyers from Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, wealthy individuals who view rare coins as alternative investments, portfolio diversification, and stores of value that appreciate over time while providing the pride of ownership that stocks or bonds never could. Auction record for the 1970D double die full steps show a clear upward trend, with each major sale setting new benchmarks and attracting increasing media coverage that brings new collectors into the market, creating a virtuous cycle of growing demand chasing fixed supply. The perfect recipe for continued price appreciation. The verification process, if you discover a potential specimen, should include high-resolution photography from multiple angles, comparison against known examples and published references, consultation with experienced error coin specialists through online forums or local coin clubs, and ultimately professional authentication through PCGS or NGC before making any sale decisions. Because premature or poorly informed selling can cost you millions in unrealized value. This coin represents the absolute peak of Jefferson nickel collecting, the Mona Lisa of 5-cent pieces, the specimen that collectors discuss in hushed, reverent tones when the conversation turns to legendary rarities, and knowing that examples still circulate in pocket change makes every nickel you encounter a potential ticket to wealth beyond imagination. Check your nickels, check your coin jars, check that change you got at the store today, look through your car's console, search that old dresser drawer, go through any inherited coins with meticulous care, because somewhere out there, someone's going to find the next example of this $57 million treasure. And that person could absolutely be you if you have the knowledge to recognize what you're seeing. Subscribe to Error Coins Hunter right now and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video, because we're constantly updating you on values, new discoveries, and identification techniques that could transform your financial future. Like this video if you're inspired to start searching. Comment below if you found anything interesting in your own coins. Share this with family and friends who might have valuable coins without knowing it. And most importantly, Keep watching our channel because the education you're receiving here could literally be worth millions if you apply it correctly. The journey from ordinary pocket change to extraordinary wealth begins with knowledge, continues with careful observation, and culminates in that life-changing moment when you recognize value that everyone else missed. And I genuinely hope that person is you. That this video gives you the tools needed to spot these treasures, and that your next nickel inspection reveals the fortune that's been hiding in plain sight all along. So get out there, start checking your coins, and remember that error. Coins Hunter is here to guide you every step of the way on this incredible treasure hunt through American pocket change.